Welcome to my channel. I'm Gary Wiryawan and today I want to talk about how to make a YouTube videos. Let's go. Before we continue with this video, there are a couple of things that I want to say. First is that we're currently recording during the coronavirus all over the world. So please take a good care of yourself. Stay at home, stay healthy, drink a lot, rest a lot, and please also avoid going to crowded places and also follow the instruction from your local authority. Also, don't forget to support my channel by liking this video, sharing this video, and subscribing to my channel down below. Thank you, and let's continue with the video. So today I want to share to you the process of how I make a YouTube video from start to finish. The reason why I want to do this right now is because there are a lot of people currently staying at home because of what's happening currently during the recording date around the world, and the needs for communicating between different groups of people becomes very important. Definitely there are a lot of different applications that you can use for communication, such as chatting using iMessage or WhatsApp and video calls using Zoom or Skype, but YouTube has its own place in this communication world. YouTube provides you with a way to communicate using a longer video format. YouTube is very useful for you to share your life updates, thoughts, your life experience, tutorial, reviews, and even more important things. However, not many people really knows YouTube's maximum potential during time like this, and also not a lot of people know how to make YouTube videos. On the other hand, some people are caught up in the technicality of recording a YouTube video, such as choosing the right camera, the right audio gear, or trying to make the video look very cinematic, and so on. With that said, I will share to you right now my process of how I make YouTube videos from preparation up until upload. Most of my YouTube videos are about my thoughts or opinion about photography as well as music. So there are a lot of videos that happens to be a recording of me talking in front of a camera like right now, with some B-roll clips to enhance the visual look of the overall video. And although my videos aren't the best in terms of quality yet, I still think that my videos are better than average. So I will help you to get to the same level of quality as mine. Please keep in mind that everyone is different. Everybody has different opinions, different thoughts, different priorities. So maybe what I will share to you might not suit you the best, but I still hope that this video will still be useful for you nevertheless. So first, you definitely need to list all of the items that you will need. First item, obviously you will need a camera of some sort. Now you don't have to use a dedicated camera like mine. You can also use your smartphone and get the job done. But I personally like to use a dedicated camera because it will produce a greater result. Now YouTube is all about visual and sound. So not just the camera that's important, the audio is also important. So if it's possible, I recommend you to use a dedicated microphone like mine. As for my main camera gear, I'm using Panasonic Micro Four Thirds camera, such as the Panasonic G85 that's currently recording this video right now, with some assortment of lenses, as well as my Panasonic GX8, my Panasonic LX100, or my DJI Osmo Pocket. And for the audio, I'm mostly using Rode microphones, such as the Rode VideoMicro that's currently recording this video right now, as well as a Rode VideoMic Me for my smartphone. Next, you will need some light to make sure that you are well lit. You can use any available lighting device, such as your table lamp or a small lighting LED device like this, or whatever lighting device that you have at your disposal. Your lighting device also don't need to be expensive. For this video, I'm using a couple of cheap table lamp with LED bulb installed to reduce flickering. Next, you will also need a computer and a video editing software. My video editing software of choice is the Vegas Movie Studio, and my computer of choice is this averagely spec Dell Inspiron 13 with Core i5, 8GB of RAM, and 256GB of SSD storage. Now let's discuss about the preparation. First, we're gonna talk about the hardware and gear. So first, set up your camera, choose an appropriate lens for your main talking recording session, and connect your camera to your microphone. As for the camera lens, I prefer to use a wide angle lens so it's easier to frame yourself. Next, you will want to support your camera with a tripod or some sort of support device so that the camera can stand by itself when you're recording. Next, you will will need to set your camera so that it records on a specific set of settings. I personally prefer to shoot in 1080p in 25 frames per second, but you can also shoot in 24 frames per second or 30. Make sure that you choose the appropriate frame per second and resolution, and make sure that every other camera that you have that you will use on the video records on the same settings. There's a rule which says that if you are shooting on a certain frame rate, your shutter speed needs to be double of that frame rate. So for example, if I'm currently shooting in 25 frames per second, I need my shutter speed on the camera to be 50th of a second. So if your camera is able to shoot manual, then you should be able to change your shutter speed manually. However, some cameras and most phones don't have the option for you to choose your appropriate shutter speed for your frame rate. So just make sure that you know what frame rate you are using in your smartphone. Now let's briefly talk about light. As I said earlier, I'm using a couple of cheap desk lamp with LEDs to lit myself properly during this video. Make sure that the light angle is good. You want your light to be slightly off center, like what I'm doing right now with the lights on both of my sides, but you don't want it to be backlight. And also with the off center lighting angle, you'll be able to lit yourself properly while not making yourself look too flat. Also make sure that the room that you are recording with is clutter free as possible, and also make sure that it's bright and properly lit for your video. Next, you will want to make sure that your camera is standing properly upright. It's not angled to the sides or tilted or doing some crazy angles. Make sure that you are nicely in the frame when you set up the camera, and also make sure that your room is as clutter-free as possible. Nobody wants to see your messy room. Last but not least, and probably the most important thing, is to prepare the message that you're about to say in your video. Your message will be the main content of your video, so needless to say, it is the most important thing in the video. And because of that, make sure that you know what you're going to say properly. So make an outline of the message that you're about to say, or make a script if you need to. Make sure that it's easily understandable by people. Elaborate when you need it, but keep it short. Don't make it too long. Make sure that you are as efficient, as effective as possible. You are going to compete with other YouTube channels for people's attention, so make sure that your video is as concise as possible, because people don't have hours to watch your video. Also make sure that the audience will get something useful out of your video. A good rule of thumb is that if you take away all the visual greatness and the audio greatness and just left with the message of the video is still gonna be useful for people. Alright, so now we're done with the preparation. Now it's time to record the main talking session, and this main talking session will be the main important part of your video. The talking session footage will be the base of all the things that will appear in your video, and it will look like this, like me talking to the camera to you right now. Prepare the script or the outline that you wrote so that when you're recording, it's easily accessible and you can read it easily. Next, start recording. You can talk sentence by sentence like what I'm doing right now because my English isn't that great, or you can just talk from the start to the end without stop and just cut the mistakes later on. Proceed to finish the talking footage. Make sure that in the beginning of the video you introduce who you are, what you're going to talk about, and also in the end of the video make a short conclusion about the topic that you just talked about. If you happen to make a mistake during the recording, just retake when you need it. Don't worry about trying to make it look perfect. Just focus on getting the message out and just edit the mistakes later on. Next, we're gonna start recording B-rolls for your video. B-rolls are basically a bunch of video clips that will emphasize some certain topics that you are discussing in your video. For example, if I'm recording a video about a review of a lens, then that B-roll will be a close-up footage of the lens that I was talking about in that video. B-roll will not only make your video easier to understand, but it will also make your video more enjoyable to watch because it provides some little visual enhancement as well as little breaks from the talking footage. Now continuing with the B-roll discussion, how to record B-roll. Actually, when you record B-roll, you just record a short clip about 4 to 10 seconds about the object that you are currently discussing in the video. To make recording B-roll easier, you might want to make a list containing all of the B-rolls that you're gonna need for the video. Alternatively, sometimes I write it down in the script too, as I usually do in my videos. Keep in mind that you want to make your B-roll interesting, so what you can do is don't just shoot statically like this, move the camera around or move the object around, use smooth movement so that your B-roll looks interesting. B-roll is just one form that you can use to enhance your video, but in my opinion, you can also enhance your video using pictures or text. Basically, anything that can make your video easier to watch and understand will be needed. Alright, so the next step is to assemble all of the video footage, the B-roll, the picture, the text together in the video editor software. Basically, you can use any video editing software such as Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, or my personal favorite, the Vegas Movie Studio. First thing to do before you import all of the videos and the pictures and the text, basically what I like to do is I like to organize all of them into their categories. Basically, these categories will be separated using folders. So basically, if you have talking footage, put it under the talking footage folder. If you have B-roll, put it under the B-roll footage. If you have pictures, put it on the picture folder, and so on. After that, you can start importing all of the item into the video editing software under a new project, and then you can start to open the project properties. Basically, you want to make sure that your project properties will match the settings on your camera. For example, if I'm shooting at 25 frames per second on my camera, I want to make sure that my video editor project properties is also set on 25 frames per second. Next step is to prepare the workplace inside the video editor by adding tracks that's representative of different components of the video. Usually, what I do is I add a separate track for my talking footage, and then another separate track for my B-roll, another separate track for the pictures, another separate track for the text, and another separate text for the main talking audio, as well as another track for the music. After you finish doing that, now it's time to assemble all things together into their corresponding tracks. Don't forget to trim the footages so that each footage don't have too much pause in the beginning and in the end of each footage. You want to prioritize finishing the main talking footage first, assemble all of them together, and then follow with the B-rolls, with the pictures, with the text, and with the music. Place music and sound effects as needed according to your taste. After you assemble all of the video, the pictures, the text, the music, the audio together, now it's time to enhance your video a little bit by adding color grading. I personally think that color grading is totally optional. You don't have to do this, but I personally like to color grade my video a little bit just to add a little bit of punch and contrast to the overall visual of my video. I will usually start by adjusting the levels and contrast in the video just to make the pictures a little bit punchier and nicer. Then I will finish by adding a little bit of color tweaking in the video. Finally, you will export your video. Make sure that you are exporting using the same properties as the project settings. That means you will want to export using the same frame rate and the same resolution as the one that you choose during your project properties. Next step after you finish exporting your video is to upload your video into YouTube. There are a few things that you need to keep in mind when you're uploading videos to YouTube. First is that you have to have a good title. Many people don't seem to understand the function of the title, and they just write something fancy and make it into a title. But in reality, you want your title to have these three things. One is that it needs to reflect your content. Two, it needs to be attractive. And three, it needs to be searchable. I think you'll easily understand point 1 and 2, but I must emphasize point 3, which is searchable. Think of YouTube as a search engine. By adding a few important keywords inside your title, you will make your video become easier to be searched on YouTube. Keywords are basically words or phrases that will reflect parts of your content. Think of it such as like hashtag in Instagram. For example, if I'm making a review about a lens, then the keywords for that lens will be the lens name or parts of the lens specification. After you finish making a good title, next step is to add the description on your video. Describe what you are recording about inside the description, and also make sure that you also add some keywords so that it can further improve the searchability of your video. Fill in as much as you can inside the description box, but don't overdo it. Make sure that if people are reading it, they don't get overwhelmed or think that the description is ridiculous. Also, put any links that are related to your video if you have any. Now, after you fill in your description, the next step is to add a good thumbnail. Make sure you take all the time that you need to create a good thumbnail, a nice thumbnail that's very representative of the content that you're talking about inside your video. Put all the items that you are talking in your video together, make them look nice, make them look interesting, and snap a good picture of them. If needed, you can also add little text on the thumbnail picture so that people can know what your video is about by just looking on your thumbnail quickly. So that's it. I've shared all the process that you need to create a YouTube video. Once your video is uploaded, be patient and wait until people start noticing your videos. It's very rare to get your first video upload to be watched by tens of thousands of people. So the next step after that is to create more videos. Be consistent by uploading your video regularly and frequently, and keep on improving step by step. By doing that, you will slowly but surely gain some traction in YouTube, and you will start to grow more and improve more over time. So that is all for today's video. I hope that this video has been useful for you. Please comment down below any experience about uploading your thoughts or your reviews or anything in YouTube. Also, don't forget to support my channel by liking this video, sharing this video, and subscribing to my channel down below. Thank you and goodbye.